The finest collection is back in MLB The Show, and this is some of the best card art I've ever seen. So what we're going to do today is take the entire finest collection of MLB The Show 24, turn it into real cards, real trading cards like this on cardstock and holographic paper to give it that nice shine and make it look like a real trading card. One thing that got me back into actual card collecting is the card art from MLB The Show. All of the MLB The Shows, really back from 21, they started doing the Milestone series and the Signature series. They all look very clean. A lot of people believe and think that the finest collection is some of the best card art out there. So let's get into it. I don't know how long this is going to take, but it's going to be a little bit tasking. We've done it before. I have another video of how to actually make these cards. You do need some equipment, some printers and special paper and things like that. And if you could, please subscribe if you do like this video, and go ahead and like and comment on the video as well. All right, let's get into the collection. It's going to take a while, so let's get into what we need to do first is hop into the game and get all of these screenshots of the cards in the game. So as you see here, we got Anthony Santander. What we got to do is get screenshots of everything. So every single player and their attributes. So what I'm going to do is, instead of going to this collection, we're going to go into our inventory so we can get the wheel. So is it Santander or Santander? I've heard it pronounced both ways, and I don't even know which one's right. But we're going to take a screenshot here, and that'll get the wheel, and this will get his information and the card. We got to do that for every player. This should be a pretty cool collection once it's all done. We got the cracked ice holographic paper, and we have normal holographic paper. Garrett Crochet, we got Crotch Rocket, Steven Kwan, and J-Ram for the Guardians. Riley Green, sweet swinging lefty for the Tigers. And then we have two for the Royals, Bobby Witt Jr. and Seth Lugo. Griffin Jacks, never even heard of this guy. Cool name, never heard of this guy until this card came out. Got Alex Bregman for the Astros, Taylor Ward for the Angels. Athletics, we got Mason Miller, that's a good card. He's got 5 pitches on this card, which is nice for Mason Miller. George Kirby for the Mariners. Kirby Yates, unfortunately. Max Fried and Zach Wheeler are the type of cards when they get a good finest 99, it's a pretty good card. Anything less than that, even if it's a 99, it's usually it gets seen pretty easily. Otto Lopez. Luis Severino for the Mets, I think that should be a good card. Bryce Harper for the Phillies, we love that. We got Trey Turner and Zach Wheeler as well. So the Phillies got blessed with the finest this year. Luis Garcia Jr., Seiya Suzuki for the Cubs. I like that. Spencer Steer for the Reds. A little surprising. I'm surprised they didn't go with Hunter Green this year, but that's okay. William Contreras gets his second straight finest card. Brian Reynolds for the Pirates. That's a fan favorite. No one's going to complain about Brian Reynolds. Sonny Gray for the Cardinals. Jock Peterson and Ketel Marte for the Diamondbacks. Was there one more? I feel like there was one more. Justin Martinez, closing pitcher. So the Diamondbacks got 3 finest cards because they got Ryan McMahon and they gave us a free. Ryan McMahon was the free one. And then we also got the Tovar. I'm just looking for other ones. Okay, I think that's it. No, we got the Padres and the Giants. Sorry. Tanner Scott for the Padres. I forgot about Willie Adames. He also got one for the Brewers. All right, now I just got to save all of these to a USB stick. So we're going to go into our media gallery and just click on all the screenshots we just took. It's going to be a lot. All right, and then we got to transfer all of these screenshots to our computer. All right, so now we have our USB that we got all the screenshots from, transferring it to the computer. I have the USB stick in there, and what we're going to do is create, obviously, a folder for all of our cards and screenshots, and we're going to import them into the software I use with my cutting machine, a Cricut. So you may have heard of a Cricut before. It's not the only brand of cutting machines out there. I use it, obviously, to get a nice, perfect rectangle on the card instead of doing it with, like, scissors or an X-Acto knife or anything. And we're going to import them into Cricut Design Space. That is the software that comes with the cutting machine. Now, what I use for the back of the cards is something different. Let's go ahead and show you how I import the front designs, the most important part, the actual card art, into Cricut Design Space. And we're going to hop over to a blank canvas, and then I'm going to grab the screenshots that I took from the USB, and I'm going to just open them up in a tool called the snipping tool. Just make sure they're ordered by date. I have it set to default, but I'm going to right-click, open with snipping tool. It comes with Windows 11, Windows 10. I don't know what Mac users use, but there's probably something similar. Now, instead of cropping it by actually drawing out the crop, I'm going to take the screen and just shrink it down to the card size because it's actually easier to get it that way. And for the back, well, we're going to do that for the back. So that's not the front. We want to make sure we get the front for this one. And I'll show you how to do the back in a second. And there's a lot of different ways to do this. So I just take the corners, and you know it's going to be a good quality picture when the rest of the picture zooms in on the card after I move the crop section, and then it looks pretty good. Any excess we can also trim off with an X-Acto knife after it's cut from the sheen. Always save it in, organized fashion. So I got cards here, I have it organized by year, and then I make every player a new folder. So I don't think I have a Santander folder yet. All right, and then I just name it something simple like Finest Front 24. For every card, after I save it, I just go immediately into Canvas on Cricut Design Space and upload it right away so I don't forget. All right, then this part's important. When you import it, you're gonna click Continue. After you pass that page, you're gonna click Apply and Continue. And then you get 3 options. You get multiple layers, single layer, and then flat graphic. You want the flat graphic. That is gonna be the best layer orientation, I guess. And then I have some collections here I save it to, and then you click Upload. It'll come in a little bit bigger than a trading card size, which is good. A normal trading card size is 2.5 by 3.5 inches, at least for baseball cards, for most standard baseball cards. All right, and the thickness obviously varies. All right, now for the back side of the card. If you guys follow my Twitter, you've seen tons of examples of what I do for these. And most of them look pretty similar. Some of them look a little more customized based on what people want. For example, some people want like the person's career stats on there, so we'll go and look at them. And yeah, you're seeing my YouTube thumbnails for my other videos, but sometimes people want career stats, and I'll make it based off of whatever they want, career stats. But basically, how I started this is by calculating the pixel size for cards. So you do a pixel to inches conversion. And for some reason, it's not always exact, but if you want to go from, 2.5 inches, you got 240 pixels, to 3.5 inches, 336. So the size would be 240 by 336, and you can do that in the Pixlr app online. It's like $1 a month, so it's not that expensive. So when we go edit the new one, we are going to delete the player info, delete the player wheel. We have the middle MLB The Show 24 design, and in the middle there, just to fill some space, sometimes I put the player stats there if that's what they want instead of that design. All right, and there you're gonna have to go into 2 different screenshots here. So we have the player wheel, crop it down, and then just fill that space. Now for the player info, you're gonna have to go to the other screenshot, the one with the front design of the card on it, with the actual card art. So something like that. Okay, we're gonna save this into the same folder to stay organized, and then we'll upload that. So I'm just gonna do every card in order like that. So when we go to upload, hit the upload button on Cricut, it'll bring up the folder that you were just in, which is Anthony Santander. You're gonna have to readjust it when you get in there. It comes in at like 16 inches by 22 inches. So we'll delete that, but now it's in the program. When we go to print, we'll reorganize the size to make it a baseball card size. All right, we are back on a different day here. That took a long time. That is the longest part of the process. We have all of the back of the card designs into Cricut now. So if we go to Cricut, go to upload, you'll see they're all in there along with the fronts intermittently. And what we're gonna do is actually go to the mobile app, so I'll show you real quick. And before we hop into it, there are a number of different results you can get for this. So I have 4 different things here. We have a card, the card alone with the stats on the back. That is the shattered glass holographic or the cracked ice. Then we have a top loader, and this is not a holographic finish, it's just a normal plain finish. And then we have the stats on the back there. We also could put it in a one-touch. If you're familiar with card collecting or trading cards, you know what these are. You can put it in the one-touch there. It's a magnetic case, and I put the sticker over it, had those pre-made. And we could also just make stickers. These are waterproof stickers. I put a laminate over it so the ink doesn't run if you put your fingers on it. You can put it on your refrigerator. You can put it on your laptop. Like I said, you can put it on your water bottle, and it looks really good on there. So the stickers, surprisingly, haven't been that popular. I would think more people would want to use these for their laptop or something, but a lot of people usually just go with the card or the card in the case, and then you can also get these little stands, which are pretty nice for displaying your card. Now, one thing to remember is the stickers are not on cardstock, it's just sticker paper, so you're gonna peel this off. That's why it looks a little flimsy. Once it's on cardstock though, this is the result of it outside of the top loader, Okay, so it is pretty sturdy, the actual thickness of a baseball card. And there's two ways to get it on cardstock. I'm going to show you how. All right, so here are the essentials that you need. 4 things. You have the premium glossy vinyl sticker, so that's basically having the card photo on a non-holographic paper. So if you don't want any holographic, any shine to it, it'll just be on this glossy paper. All right, this is the cracked ice or shattered glass holographic. You can get it on Amazon. It's pretty cheap. All right, it comes in like packs of 25 or packs of 50. Then you have regular cardstock. If you pick it up at the store, it's usually 110 pounds or so, which is like the baseline for cardstock thickness. And if you want to get a thicker cardstock, you would probably have to go online and find it, but 110 pounds is the basic for cardstock in store, I think. Self-adhesive laminating sheets. This is very important. All right, if you handle your cards a little too much, the ink will run off on your fingers and it will run off the card unless you put this self-adhesive laminating sheet over it. It's just a clear sheet, and instead of using a laminator that applies heat to paper, you just put this on. It has self-adhesive on it, so you stick it on, and that way the heat doesn't destroy the ink on the card. So these are the 4 basics I think you need, and if you don't want to do a holographic, you really just need this. You can also buy holographic self-adhesive laminating sheets that look like this. So if you end up printing on this and later you decide you want to put a holographic on it, you can actually buy laminating sheets that have a holographic sheen over it, so it'll be clear with this style of holographic over it, and you can lay this over this. A little confusing, but we'll get into it a little bit more. There's the Cricut machine. I have the Cricut Explorer 3. We're going to turn that on, and we're going to connect it to our Bluetooth on our phone to get the app going. So the end result of this is going to look like this, having this in our card collection, only it's going to be the entire Finest collection. We have a live series team here, or a mostly live series team, and we're going to fill it with the Finest collection from 2024. I have my printer here. It's nothing special. This, I think, cost around $200. It's a Canon. The model of mine is a TS9 521C. This is just a regular inkjet printer, and we are going to use it to print all of the back of the cards, which is the cardstock, and the front of the cards, which is that glossy sticker paper. All right, so we go to Canvas. We have a previous project up there. We're just gonna go ahead and erase everything there. Since all of our photos were uploaded on the computer, we go to upload. This is gonna be really easy. Upload, open uploaded images. And we're gonna add 6 cards to the canvas because that's how many can fit on a single sheet. That'll make it easier. I'm gonna have to reorient them. But let's go ahead and show you the first way I do this. And there's basically like 2 or 3 ways to do this. The first and most efficient way, I think, is to upload a bunch of the backs, all right? And I uploaded Colton Cowser a little bit late, so we're going to go backward from division NL West first. We got Ketel Marte, we got Willy Adames, got Matt Chapman, Tanner Scott. That's 4. We do Tyler Glass now, and then we'll get the Rockies, Tovar, Ezekiel Tovar. So these are all the backs of the card. You can tell they're huge because of the format. We're just going to change that format real quick. Change the size, hit edit. I did 0.5 by accident, so you can do 2.5. And then for the height, 3.5. And you're just going to do that to all the cards until they end up the right size. Okay, all the cards are the right size and they're all scattered. That doesn't matter right now. We're going to go ahead and make it. And when we go to make it, we're going to change a couple settings that are very important. But first, we got to reorient these to make it all on one sheet. The best way to orient these is, I found out, is to do 2 vertical ones in the corners there. And everything else goes horizontal. So now it all fits on the sheet. It doesn't have to be perfectly square. The machine is going to take care of that when we go to cut it. All right, here's an important part. We're going to send it to the printer, and the best thing to do for this, when we send it to the printer, we're going to hit next on the sensor marks, is we're going to make sure median quality, we're going to have it set to high or best, and then we're going to feed from the rear tray. That is the easiest way to feed this type of paper, the holographic sticky paper, because sometimes it gets caught up in the regular cartridge down here in the bottom. All right, so we're gonna pull out our tray and we're gonna take the holographic and put it in the rear tray. So I corrected myself, we're not putting the holographic in the rear tray, we're gonna put the cardstock because this is the back of the card. We don't need to waste the holographic on both sides when it's really just the card art on the front of the card that matters about, you know, the holographic. So we're gonna put the cardstock in the back here. All right, and when we go to print, we just hit print, it's gonna go to the rear tray. It's gonna ask us a couple questions after this. We're gonna verify the print. Now, while this is printing, we are going to set our material, and we're going to look for cardstock, and it's going to be heavy cardstock. This is only going up to 100 pounds. That will be fine for this. Okay, so now everything looks good. The last thing we can do, since it's cardstock, we can change the pressure of the cut from default to more so that it cuts through the card and we actually get it out. Okay, so we got the backs of the cards on the cardstock. We can do this for every single card and just get all of the backs done, so that way when we adhere the front of the card, we'll just have all the backs ready to go. But I'm going to show you one other way to do it, where you actually have the back, instead of being on cardstock, it'll be on the sticky paper, and we'll stick it to cardstock in a different way. But before we do that, we'll head over to the printer and we'll get our sheet that we just printed, and we'll also get our Cricut sticky mat. This is just a standard mat, and we're going to put this on here to cut. All right, and that's all I have to do. Then I can just let this calibrate, and then once it's ready, I'm gonna press basically the play button on this machine, and it's gonna cut all these cards out. These are all done. I'm gonna take it out. You're gonna notice I just pull off this. We have all the cards on the sheet, and we take these off one by one, and then we have our. So this is our cardstock with the stats on the back, the attributes. All right, there it is. And this is obviously it's only 100 pounds of cardstock. Once we put the other layers on, you gotta remember there's gonna be about 3 or 4 layers we put on this, so it'll become thicker once we put that on. So we'll have this glossy sticker paper here, the laminate over it, and when you put it in a top loader, it looks like a real card. All right, looks and feels like a real card too. So let's go ahead and print the front designs for Tanner Scott, Ezekiel Tovar, Matt Chapman, Ketel Marte, Willie Adames, and Tyler Glasnow. All right, we got all these guys at the right size. The settings for this print are just gonna be a tad bit different from the last one we did, so let's get into that. And still, we wanna orient it exactly this way to make sure they all fit on the same sheet. All right, the same thing for this is media quality is always gonna be best. We're gonna feed it from the rear tray. After we do this, we wanna make sure we put in our glossy paper. So now we're gonna take this paper and put it in the back. So we have that in the rear tray. We can go ahead and hit print. Now for this one, we're gonna change the material, and I'll show you what we're gonna change it to after we get this message on our printer again. We'll hit next, and then print with the loaded paper. That'll start going. On this one, for material, all materials, we're gonna type in sticker, or start to type in sticker. We're gonna get a short list that comes up. We're gonna do printable waterproof sticker set, white holographic. They do have transparent holographics out there, and this one is a white holographic, so we're gonna select that one. The pressure, we're gonna leave at default for this one. So now we have the front of the finest card art right here on the shattered glass holographic. Okay, we could have put it on the plain one, but I think it looks a little bit better on this one, particularly because of this design. It looks like that on the screen if you're playing the game. So we have the holographic here, it looks pretty nice. We're gonna line it up with our Cricut, and I'm gonna do something different once we line it up on the mat. So after I have it lined up, I wanna take some Scotch matte tape. So it's the magic tape and it's got the matte finish on it. And we're gonna put a piece of tape over every sensor mark down here in the corner. There's a sensor mark going on each corner, and we're gonna put the tape over that. The reason being is if you don't do that, sometimes the Cricut machine will miss the cut and it'll cut into the card, and we don't want that. If you put the tape over it, I've never had a problem where it just cuts a perfect rectangle of the outline of the card. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, then same as before, we're gonna line it up, let it calibrate, and then we'll press the button. It should cut all of these instead of cutting right through where we lifted up the cardstock and you saw all the cards on there. We will just lift up the whole sheet and all of the cards will be on there. We can peel each card off as a sticker. So now that's done, I'm gonna peel off this sheet because if I leave it on for too long, we'll get some mess left over on the mat. We don't want that. So we'll peel it off right away so we don't get too many sticky, like white pieces of paper on the mat. All right, so we have all these stickers. We have the back, which is the cardstock. And 2 ways to do it is, this one I think is the best way. You can also take the paper, you can print both the front and the back, which is the statistics, onto holographic paper, sticker paper, and instead of using the cardstock, you can take pre-cut start cardstock like I have here, which is blank, and put it on both sides. So you have both sides there. Or you can take an actual baseball trading card, all right, and use that. You can put the sticker on one side and then put the back on the other. And then you get a pretty good thickness for that because you'll have multiple layers, including the original trading card, which, you know, is already the thickness of a trading card. So that's all the different ways you can do it. Pre-cut cardstock, an actual baseball card with sticker paper on both sides, or the way we did it, which was printing all of the cardstock with the back on it and then using the holographic for the front. So we're going to take these, peel them off, adhere it to this, and then trim them up so it looks nice and sharp. Basically showing you this process again if you've already seen that video. We're going to take this Matt Chapman and start with him. If you can't get it off with your fingers, use a tool like this. Okay, so we got Matt Chapman. This is sticky. Put that down. So we're not done yet. This is the card. And we might have a little bit of excess up here. We can trim that off. That's a good thing because we do add bleed to this card when we print it. We had a little bit of bleed on the ink so that in case we run over, we can trim it off. But this looks pretty good as it is. Before we cut it and trim it, we're going to add the adhesive, which is arguably the most important part of this once you figure out all of this. Now, the big Avery sheets I haven't cut up into thirds and ninths, so we get 9 of these per sheet. All right, they're a little bit bigger than 8.5 by 11. I forget what the exact size is. It might be 9 by 12. And we cut them out so that we get 9 of these per sheet, which is pretty efficient. And we're going to peel this off and apply it. All right, there we go. We lay it down. Use a squeegee tool. Random thought here, but if you hear any of my mid-Atlantic accent coming out, if I'm saying any words in a weird way, that's all it is. I am from the mid-Atlantic, well, Philadelphia in particular, but it's all the same thing when you mix it with like Maryland and some of Jersey, so that's all that is. But once we put the laminate over, you know, get out any bubbles. There's not really any bubbles. This is really high quality laminate. This is Avery. I would stick with that brand. You usually don't see any like bubbles or anything, but I just flatten it out anyway so it looks good. And then we're just gonna trim off the excess with scissors, believe it or not, because the scissors glide along this laminate paper really, really well. All right. If it was a worse quality, I'd probably just use an X-Acto knife. Okay. And if there's any smaller trims that we need to do, we use an X-Acto knife, get a ruler, and trim it up nice. But the scissors actually do a really good job just gliding along. This almost glides better than when you're cutting wrapping paper for Christmas gifts, things like that. Glides right along, and we get that excess off. Also, make sure you have a good pair of scissors. All right, so we have Matt Chapman there. A couple things we can do. We can put him in the one touch. We can put him in a top loader with a penny sleeve. So we have this, so that would go in a penny sleeve. Let's see if we can find one real quick. All right, and these can be ordered online. There's a bunch of different brands that do it. I'm not gonna name them all. Put Chapman in there, put them in there, and then boom. We got Matt Chapman, finest, cracked ice, shattered glass, whatever you want to call it, holographic, attributes on the back, looking really nice. Same thickness as a baseball card, looks and plays the part, really nice. We're going to do this for all the other cards. All right, it is time for the finished product. So what we got here is the entire collection, the finest 2024 collection of MLB The Show 24, here in this book here, front and back, on the shattered glass holographic, looking pretty nice. So got it all done. It took a while, and I missed Mason Miller, so I'm going to go back and put him in there. Don't worry, he will be in there. A's fans, for any of you that are still left, I know there's plenty of you. All right, so that's all of it. All right, Aaron Judge, the last one here, and yeah, pretty cool. So we got all of them in this book now. And that is how you make the finest cards. So that is my process for making these. If you guys are interested, please, like I said, drop a comment if you have any questions. Drop a like, subscribe. It would really help my channel out. And I will see you guys in the next one.